All right, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little late. I had a couple of issues trying to get the stream running, but this is why I wanted to do this. I wanted to test it out and see if this was actually going to work. And I also wanted to give you a chance to, just informally meet me, ask me any questions about the course, about myself. Really, just we have a weekend before class starts, which I really can't believe that it's happening so soon. But I did just want to give you the space just to feel comfortable in this class because that's really what is going to help us, start off on a really good foot and do the best that we can in this class. Like, I really want you to do well, and I don't want any of this technology or any of this like weird social distancing that we have to do for our health to get in the way of your success in this class. So I will be on this live stream for an hour if you have any questions. Again, I'll be happy to do anything. I'll show you how to go through D2L. I'll show you where to find resources. Just whatever sort of thing comes up, I'm very happy to go over so that, again, we have a really good start for the semester. And so one thing that I'm going to do at the beginning of every class is I'm going to sign on 10 minutes before class starts. You can see I'm always going to have announcements scrolling on at the bottom. Those are really important announcements for you. But for those 10 minutes before class starts, yeah, go ahead and ask me any question that you have. I find that students really have really good interactions when we can talk before class to sort of review a couple of concepts. So if you have any of those types of questions, yeah, feel free to drop them into the chat. If you're there right now, you can try it out and say hello just to test it out, see how the chat works, see how, the audio quality works, all of that kind of stuff. But I'm really going to be just here for you for this hour if you have anything that you want to go over. And if you're just signing on just to say, just to check to see that you can connect to this and see how it's going to look and how it's going to sound, great. I'm happy that I was able to do that for you before the first day of class starts. But yeah, I'm just going to wait to see if anything comes up. But if you have anything to say in the chat, even if it's a hi, a good morning, any of that, please feel free. Actually, if you could do me a favor, if anyone's watching this right now, if you can hear me and see me well, just writing that in the chat is helpful for me so that I kind of know that things are going well. Otherwise, I can sort of work behind the scenes to make sure everything's connected and make sure everything is working all right. We have our first hello. I'm sorry. I'm really excited. Hey, Rebecca and Maggie. Good morning. Yay, this is working. Sorry. I always get freaked out that this stuff isn't going to work, but yeah, I'm glad that the chat is working. Good morning. Great. So, as you'll notice, there is a little bit of a delay between what you are, when you type things into the chat and when they show up onto the video. That's just some internal, it just takes time for data to pass back and forth. But I will see all of your chat messages. I will see all of this. Oh, great. You can see me and hear me well. Great. I was also kind of freaked out because I just got a new microphone yesterday. Um, Never tried to do anything super new the day before classes start. But, I wasn't happy with my microphone quality and I wanted this microphone. So I am glad that this is working. I'm glad that we can interact this way. Um, yeah, that's awesome. I'm kind of sad that we're not starting on campus. I kind of miss going to campus and trying, just like there's just a buzz of energy that you feel when, you're just starting a new semester. Um, but, we can try to make the best of this. Jessica, thank you. Thank you for being able to confirm that you can see and hear well. That's great. Awesome. Uh, yeah. I know that a lot of professors don't use YouTube to put out their classes, but I feel like we have such a large class that Zoom just isn't sort of the best. I wanted to use something, you wanted to use a platform that's actually meant to handle hundreds of people at the same time. I guess Zoom can do that, but I trust YouTube a lot, and I trust that they can get this content to your device, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a cell phone. I just trust Google servers, and so I am glad that this is working. Awesome. Maggie says, I even missed the parking tickets. Oh boy. Yeah. I have actually gone to campus to pick up some of these anatomical models, and every time I park, I'm just thinking like, could I get away with not, paying the meter? Um, I always pay the meter. I'm a big chicken when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah. Good morning. I can hear you and see you. My question is how to order textbooks and access code for Pearson because I'm having trouble downloading it. Yeah, so that is a very good question. Um, well, first of all, let me show you what you need to do. Well, okay. First of all, if you are taking this class for the first time, I can show you exactly what you need to do. So let's switch over to Chrome really quick. All right, so you should be seeing here D2L, and I'll move it over. When you log in, if you go to content and you go to, let's see, where is it? eText and mastering. What you'll see is a PDF here for student access for WCU, Vital Source, and Inclusive Access. So in this class, we're actually using Inclusive Access, meaning that most of the cost of this class is going to be directly billed to your Bursar account. So it's already sort of paid for. All you have to do is sort of link up a whole bunch of things. You have to link up your WCU account to Pearson, and the weird way that you do that in order to check that you're actually paid through this through your Bursar bill is to connect Vital Source as the bridging thing in between. So that's what Vital Source is. I wish I could rename this link because Access Vital Source doesn't really sound useful, but that is what Vital Source is doing. It's linking your WCU account to your Pearson account so you get all the access. So this is the PDF that was given to me by Pearson. We can open it really quickly, and this should give you some general instructions on how to sign up for Pearson. Basically, I'll let you go through this. If you have issues with this, let me know, and I'll be happy to send you to my Pearson representative. She works really hard to make sure that our students have access to the textbook. So if you're having trouble following these instructions or something is just not working, let me know and I will forward you to my Pearson contact because she's great. But what you want to see is basically when you click this Access Vital Source link, what you want to see is a window that kind of looks like this, right? You should see some buttons. Again, I'm already logged in. I think if you're doing this for the first time, it might say there might be a checkbox that says opt out or connect your things. Make sure that you don't opt out. If you opt out, that takes you off of the inclusive access list that the Bursar has. And if you do that, we can't connect your WCU account to your Pearson account. Now, if you're taking this class for a second time within 2 years, you still have access to the textbook and the mastering, so you don't have to pay the tuition cost again for the textbook. If you're in that boat, don't follow these instructions. Send me an email, and then I'll again work with you and work with the Pearson rep to make sure that you get connected to the textbook. But for those of you taking the class for the first time, this is really what you want to see, and have these two buttons here, Read Now and Launch Courseware. Read Now will basically take you to the eText. Let's see if it'll take me to the eText. Okay, great. Cookies. Love cookies. Great. So then there is a textbook, nice and easy. That's how you access the textbook. To do the weekly mastering assignments, you're going to want to click on Launch Courseware. It basically gives you more options, so you can also read the textbook through this link. But the other thing that you can do is do the mastering assignments. So let's see what that looks like. And it might look different because I'm an instructor. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to see the same things, but hopefully you'll be able to see here mastering assignments. That's a student link. You should be able to see the mastering assignments. And again, those are due every week. All right, so I just went through that. I wasn't keeping my eye on the chat, but if any of that didn't make sense, please let me know. I'll be happy to go over those things again. But I'll put the chat back up. Man, I don't know how YouTubers do this. I feel like I'm just talking to myself, but I'll get used to it. Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to mention was I was kind of looking forward to this semester because we were going to have the class in a classroom that I've never been in before. I usually teach in that auditorium in the Science Center. I forget what it's called, Science Center North. It's, oh yeah, room number 151. This year we were going to be in the business building, the public management business building. I've only been there once for my orientation when I first started this job. And oh man, they have like the coolest things in that building. I remember sitting down and I had to register for a thing and I like broke out my laptop. And they were like, "No, you don't need that." And I was just like, "What are you talking about? How am I gonna register for this thing? Like, you just gave me a link to go on to." And they were like, "Oh, just push this button." And I pushed a button, and a computer monitor just rose from the desk. It was amazing. It was like, great. Why can't we get this in the biology building? Anyway, I was looking forward so much to being in that classroom, but for another time, I suppose. All right. So, again, if you are just signing in, this is a chance for you to basically ask any question that you might have. If you're having trouble kind of navigating the course or kind of knowing like what to do, I'm happy to answer any question that you have. Also, happy just to chat and say hi. This is basically just a very informal chance for us to like meet each other. It's kind of weird because I'm on a screen and you're behind text, but that's fine. I'm happy to uh, have the awkward face in front of the camera because honestly, if we were on Zoom, how many of you would actually like not turn on your cameras, right? Like, I get it. It's fine. It's fine. If I could, I would turn off my camera as well. But I decided to go the opposite route and instead put many lights on my face. Oh, the things I do. That's cool. Mm, I do want to mention one thing. I was prepared to answer this, but just in case you wanted to know um, about attending lecture, I basically run the same lecture from 10 to 11 as 11 to 12. That's the same exact lecture. I do them back to back. I do this in real life too. Um, and it kind of drives me a little bit nuts because sometimes I feel like I'm repeating myself. Bad joke. Anyway, um, you are welcome to attend either. I'm totally fine with that. If you feel like you woke up a little bit late for the 10 a.m. lecture and you don't have anything to do from 11 to 12 and you want to attend that one, do that one. If you feel like you want 11 to 12 open for something and you can make the 10 to 11 lecture that day, totally fine too. The only time where it matters which section you are actually enrolled in is during the finals, when we're actually taking our final exam. And I'll go over this on the first day, but I just wanted to let you know, you don't have to ask me for permission if you want to go to a later lecture. That's fine. Um, Basically, just do whatever you want in terms of accessing the lecture. But the one thing I'll say is that if you choose to like start the lecture like 15 minutes late, maybe you're just having a little bit of trouble, it's totally fine. You don't have to watch this completely 100% live, right? Like, I'm sure that you've all noticed right now that you can rewind a little bit if you want to, and basically start 10 minutes ago from where I'm actually speaking or giving the lecture. That's fine too. Just realize that if you're asking questions, I'm going to, well, and the entire class is going to be ahead in the lecture. Again, not a big problem, but just something to be aware of. I'm happy to answer questions that you have, even if you're off a little bit at the end of the lecture. If it's relevant to what we're covering right then during the live lecture, I'm also happy just to stop the lecture right there too and address your questions. So basically, access this content however you can. And if you do come up with questions about the content, about some of the big ideas of this class, I'm very happy to address those questions. So the one thing I don't have is a view of how many people are watching. Oh, I guess I'll figure that out next time. Oh, Rebecca, that is a very good question. So, Rebecca asks, do lectures stay up on YouTube or do they go away? Um, so I have control over the lectures, and what I'm going to do and what I'm going to try to keep doing for the entire semester is have all of those lectures available to you afterwards. Now, I had considered putting a time limit on that, and that still might change depending on the performance of the class. But for right now, the way that things are going, the way that I planned it, everything that is live streamed will basically be put onto YouTube, recorded like a DVR, so you can watch it in the future. I do think that that's a really important study technique, or a study tool rather, to have just the ability to go back and watch things again. I have so many students ask me if they can record the lecture, and I'm totally fine with that. I let students record the lecture all the time. They bring like tape recorders or they use their cell phones while they're sitting at their desks. I think that's totally fine. I think it's a great thing, a great resource to have. So then why wouldn't I just, if I'm already recording this, give this to you? So that is available to you. It's going to be on the same link. They will be there. So me says bottom left corner of your account. Yeah, so I wish I could say it. I wish I could see it. I have a very different view than what you have, and I basically have closed the page because then I would be seeing two of myself talking at me instead of just one. Seeing one of myself talk is awkward enough. Um, but I wish I could just like figure out a way that I could put that number onto this thing. I'll figure it out. Teresa, good morning, Teresa. Are exams going to be given through D2L? Yes. So every single quiz and every single exam is going to go through D2L. In fact, the only thing that won't go through D2L are the mastering assignments. Mastering assignments are on the Pearson server, so you're going to have to use the Pearson server, but all those grades are going to get imported into D2L. Everything else is going to be on D2L, from the lecture exams to the final to the lab practicals, and also all of the lab quizzes that you'll have at the end of every lab. That's all going to be on D2L. I can give you more information regarding the exams if you're curious, but there is very little change from what we're going to be doing this semester to what we've done in the past. So in the past, we've done multiple choice for all the lecture exams. I'm going to do the same thing. For the lab practicals, you'd actually have to type out the names of the bones and the muscles and all that. That's still going to be the same thing. You're going to have to type it out. And so the experience is going to be as close as possible, or at least for the testing experience, it's going to be as close as possible. Also, I'll let you know right now that I don't intend on using Proctorio or any of that, those kinds of
those software, that monitor you while you're taking an exam. Um, I First of all, I don't think it works well enough, and two, I don't think that it's worth invading sort of your privacy for that to force you to be on camera while you're taking the exam. Um, but actually, the main reason is I don't think it works well. And I don't want to deal with that technical difficulty type thing. So we're not going to use that proctoring software. You don't have to worry about it. It should be fairly straightforward. Um, and yeah, that's basically all I'm going to say about exams right now, unless you have other specific questions. What I'll be interested to ask, well, when I have more of you on the lecture, is how you're actually watching these live streams. Um, I was curious because I also did this last semester doing the live streams for YouTube, and YouTube is cool because they gave me some really neat analytics. And I kid you not, I saw 3 students watching my lectures for 10 minutes using a PlayStation 4. I, yeah, it's just interesting. I'm assuming most people are going to be using either their laptops or maybe a cell phone. Um, I tried to make the text big enough so that if you are watching this on a cell phone, that you can read everything. But honestly, if there is something that is a problem, if you can't read it, if the quality is not high enough or the resolution's not good enough, that's an easy thing to let me know, and I can work on that in the future. But hopefully everything is going fine. Haven't heard any complaints so far from anyone. Uh, yeah. Sorry, it just occurred to me that it's Friday and classes start on Monday. I can't believe it. Where did the summer go? Man, oh man. All right, I'm gonna see if I can find that number. Huh. Okay. So I'm kind of curious. I honestly don't know what other instructors are doing in terms of if they're having any sort of like of these live sessions like I'm having before classes start. Any of you watching? Did you have any of these sort of question and answer type sessions with your other instructors? There are 12 of us. You know what? Maybe I'll just ask every single time and then I'll just get a text from me or whoever else is in the chat. That's kind of awesome. It's like my new voice assistant. Me. How many viewers do we have on the stream chat now? No, you don't have to answer that. Don't worry about it. I have another question for those of you who are like currently watching. Um, yes, through Zoom last semester biology. Okay, cool. Um, have any of you been able to look at D2L? The only reason I ask is because I don't know why I haven't done this in the past, but this is the first semester that I actually am starting to compile YouTube videos that give you hints on best ways to study, most efficient ways to study, ways to take notes, ways to take online classes. Just there's a whole bunch of YouTubers I realize that their thing is to tell you what has worked for them as students, and these videos are excellent. I don't feel like I've made a big deal about these videos or where they're found, but they're actually really good. Maybe I'll emphasize that the first day when we start on Monday. And I mean, this is interesting to see the variety or that some instructors have these sort of like Q&A sessions and some don't, right? Um, I'm just curious to see. I think they're important, just because, if you have questions, you should be able to get them answered, right? And to be honest, like, you could send an email. That's totally fine. I check my email every day, but this is a immediate response that you get. So that's sort of another thing. I do check my email every day. But in case you send me an email and I haven't responded to you, and like it's sort of just, we get, as professors, we get lots of email every day from classes, from other professors, from people above us. It's sometimes easy for emails to get lost. If you ever feel like your email has gotten lost and you haven't gotten an answer from me, you can 100% totally ask your question in the chat, just to make sure that you get a direct response, right? Because if you think about it, if we were in person, you could do the same thing too, right? If I get into the lecture hall and I'm starting to set up the lecture, and you need a signature from me, or you need me to basically open up a quiz for you because we rescheduled something and I haven't done it yet, you could easily approach me face to face and ask me those questions. You should be able to do the same thing in the chat. So please feel free, if you feel like you're not being heard, to ask the question in the chat, where I would definitely see it and be able to respond to it in real time. Oh, cool, Maggie, you watch one of those videos. Awesome. What do you think? Like, honest opinion. Because if you think it wasn't useful, I'd be happy to like cut that one out and find a replacement. And don't worry that you haven't checked out D2L. I was just curious if you had. We're going to be using D2L a lot, and actually, when you sign on to D2L, one of the first things you'll see, I'll just show you really quick. Let's go back to Chrome. One of the first things you'll see when you get back to the D2L site is I have included a YouTube video here. It's embedded, how to make sense of this specific D2L. Why did I choose that confused face for that thumbnail? Man. All right. But anyway, if you watch this video, it'll basically show you how everything is organized in my D2L. Now, this isn't how everyone is going to use D2L. Your instructors are going to use it very differently. Every course is going to look a little bit different. And I think that's what kind of makes using D2L a little bit confusing for students. And so I wanted to give you this video that sort of shows you where you can find different things. And one of the most important things too, how to sign up for notifications. Please do that as soon as possible. You basically just click on this link and choose how you want to be notified. I show you how to do it in this video, but that is a really important thing that I need you to do the first week of this class. The only reason is because, like I mentioned, emails can get lost. So I actually don't send announcements through email except for the first couple at the beginning of the semester. What I'll do instead is I'll actually send out D2L announcements, and every announcement I make will show up here in the announcements tab. As you can see, I haven't made any yet, but you will not know there is a new announcement unless you turn on the notifications. So really important that you turn on the notifications. Otherwise, I could post an announcement, a really important one, saying maybe, hey, there's a new extra credit assignment that is due in 3 days. But if you don't have announcements, you're not going to get that message. So make sure that you do basically sign up for the notifications by clicking on here. All right, let's go back to the chat. Maggie, it was helpful. Cool. Oh yeah, Cornell notes. It was backwards from the way they taught us in high school, and it made more sense a lot. Yeah. It's funny. I remember, learning Cornell notes for the first time and thinking like, this is so much work. And I was like, I didn't use it for a long time. And then one day in college, I was just like, let's try it. I remember I was in chemistry. I was in my second year chemistry course. I wasn't doing too hot. And I tried using the Cornell notes. And man, that little bottom section of the Cornell notes where you write your notes in your own words. Oh man, that helped me pass. I am so glad that I started doing that. Totally forgot about Cornell notes until then, but hey, whatever works. Oh, you like the skull logo? Cool. Um, well, I did kind of put it together. I'll be 100% honest with you. I kind of stole the vector art for the skull itself. I actually tried drawing a skull. Maybe I'll show you some of my mock-ups. When I was coming up with that logo design, it was during spring break. I was super into it. I was up. The second I knew that we were going online for the rest of the spring semester, I basically spent all of my nights during spring break and every week after that, trying to get some kind of design for this class. And the first thing I worked on was a logo, and I went through maybe 6 or 7 different iterations of that logo, and me trying to draw it was garbage. It just looked so bad. And so I ended up just trying to find a nice vector that I could use, and I just tilted it. So I can't take credit for actually designing that logo. Um, but maybe one of these days I'll redo it and I'll do it on my own, because everything else I've basically designed on my own. It's just I can't draw a skull for the life of me. Hey Morgan, don't worry, don't apologize for asking a question. You are a transfer student and you are new to Pearson. So when I register for an account, it requires a course ID. So when you don't use inclusive access, basically the old school way of signing up for Pearson, the way that it worked was you went into Pearson, you made an account, and then you got the course ID from me. By using inclusive access, we actually bypass that entire system. So if it's asking you for a course ID, that's not the right way to sign up for the class. I would Let me go back to Chrome. I'll show you where to go exactly. So if you go to the D2L site, maybe I clicked that too fast. Let's go back. This is what you see when you log on to D2L. Here is the content tab. That's basically where you want to go. And if you scroll down, you will see there's an eText and mastering link. If you have a full screen Chrome, I'll just show you what it looks like full screen. It'll look a little bit different where you actually have the mastering over here on the side, but I have it over here. Once you get down to there, you're going to want to follow the instructions on the student access VitalSource PDF. Now, I don't know if you tried to do these instructions, but if you tried to do it and you're still getting this error where it asks you for a Pearson course ID number, let me know, because then that means that these instructions are wrong. Unfortunately, there's no way for me to try to do this because I have already connected my instructor account. So I can't actually go through this process, and Pearson hasn't opened up like a dummy student account for me to actually go through this registration process. But what I'll say is try to follow these instructions on this PDF. And if you're still running into the issue of it asking for a course ID, then let me know. And hopefully that was helpful, Morgan. If not, if this is totally stressing you out and like this is just something that you can't deal with right now, I totally get it. That's fine. You technically don't really need access to these things until the ad drop deadline, but definitely make sure that you do this before the ad drop deadline. But what that means is it gives us time for me to connect you with my Pearson rep. The Pearson person basically is going to act like your IT help person to get you connected. That is actually part of their job. And so if you can't figure this out and you want someone to hold your hand through all of this, because I don't know what it looks like on your end, I'm happy to put you in contact with my Pearson rep who will help you along the way. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that if you follow these instructions, you won't require a course ID. I could be wrong, but I think that's what is the truth. Hmm. You are very welcome, Orion. Awesome. I'm glad that we were able to take care of that before class starts. Yeah, and like little questions like that, like being able to access your textbook. I mean, those are problems that should not be getting in your way of doing well in this class. So, I'm happy to help as much as I can so that we can actually get to the fun and hard stuff, which is actually learning about the human body. So, I think I need to get different music because right now I'm playing music that I usually use just to chill out whenever I have a couple of minutes to play video games. It's really weird listening to this music and not playing a video game, especially since I look like a streamer, right? Like, it's kind of funny. Well, I am glad that for those of you that were able to watch this, that you were able to try it out and to test it. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. This was very helpful for me, just to kick the tires a little bit and make sure that things work. Um, I'm trying a lot of new things this semester, behind the scenes, in terms of upping the quality of everything. And so I thank you very much for this opportunity to try this out and not just stream to myself. Your gamer son is impressed with my setup, says it looks legit. Well, thank you very much. I am heavily inspired by gamers and I learned a lot from them. It's so funny. I've spent a lot of the summer learning from, you know, Gen Z. Like 100%. I'm going to be honest with you. They're so knowledgeable about audio quality, video quality, interaction with audience. Like, where did all this come from? I am so glad that I had an open mind going into this, and I am very glad that I have approval. So I'm curious, me, if your son is still there, what games does your son play? I should have found some anatomy videos that we could watch together. That would have been cool. Maybe it's not too late. Let's find some cool anatomy videos. Oh. Here we go. Let me see if the audio is going to come through on this. Give me 1 second. Where's this audio coming from? I found a really cool thing that we can watch together. Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay. Valorant, CSGO, Call of Duty. Okay, so your son's a first-person shooter player. Cool. Very, 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 very cool. I'm not going to say I play any of those games, but I'm also not going to say I don't play any of those games. All right, I'm going to patch this through into my microphone, maybe. Sorry, I'm having trouble. Do you hear anything? I'm trying to watch a YouTube video and I'm trying to see if the audio is coming through as well. Maybe we don't even need the audio. You know what? Let's mute it. What I found was a Jeopardy, a clip of Jeopardy that actually had one of the topics as anatomy. So let's just do that really quick. All right, we're gonna play some anatomy Jeopardy. Ooh, that's bad quality. Okay, the two lower chambers of the heart are the right and left. These. Anyone? Two lower chambers of the heart. So let's do a little, heart is going to be on your left side, right? We actually don't cover the heart in this class, but the heart is made up of four different, I guess you can call them chambers, four different parts. You have the top left, top right, bottom right. And Teresa says ventricles. Yeah, let's see. The two lower ones are the ventricles. Oh, man, because you have the audio, you don't hear them. Yeah, so the ventricles, we actually talk about ventricles in this class, not in the heart, but in the brain. Ventricles in the heart are basically these chambers that fill up with blood, and then the ventricles are actually the parts of the heart that squeeze that blood throughout your entire circulatory system. These are incredibly strong muscles because if you think about it, the ventricles have to squeeze the blood, and the blood basically has to fight gravity to get to your brain, has to reach all the way down to your long toe. They're just incredibly strong muscles. And if you think about it, incredibly strong muscles that never get tired. Your heart doesn't stop beating for the most part, unless something happens from the day that you are alive to the day that you're dead. The heart is an incredible muscle that... If you can't tell, I love learning about muscles, but the heart is a very special one. Cool. Ventricles, yeah, we got a whole bunch of ventricles. Awesome. All right, so here is the next one. The calcaneus is the bone that makes up this part of the foot. Wait, hold up. We're doing this Jeopardy. Where's my what is ventricles? What are ventricles? Come on. All right, this question right here. The calcaneus. What is that? Now, this is actually something that we are going to cover in this class. The topics are going to range from, we're going to start talking about cells and talk about ions. Those are super important for understanding how the human body works. But we're also going to be talking about the skeletal system. We're going to be talking about the muscular system. We're going to be talking about integument, your skin, and we're also going to be talking about the brain. So those are the four sort of major topics that we're going to be covering in this class. The calcaneus, which is a bone that you're going to become very familiar with in the lab. Anyone? I don't know how long to wait just because of the delay, but we'll just give it a little bit. The other thing to realize is also this is a bone of a foot. And this was, I believe, an $800 Jeopardy question. I've been watching a lot of Jeopardy recently. You know, it's COVID. It's what's on at 7 p.m. every day. Um, an 800 level clue is going to be a common answer. So if you don't even know the answer, just think about what is a common bone that you know in the foot. Here, what is the heel from Maggie? Thank you for the emphasis on the what is, right? Uh, Alex Trebek is a stickler for that, and you know, whatever. I mean, what is the heel? Yep. So your calcaneus is the bone that is your heel. I do not have a bone model with me, but if I look back here, I do have a leg muscle model. And if you look really closely at the back of the heel, I know it's kind of blown out because the video, there is a huge tendon going down there. It's the Achilles tendon, and the bone that it actually connects to, making up your heel, that is your calcaneus. Again, that is a bone that you will learn very, very well by the end of the semester. All right, next question. For $1,200 of this bone of the forearm, of this bone, whoa, sorry, can't read. This bone of the forearm shares its name with a geometry term. This is interesting. So this also gives us a chance to talk about the arm versus the forearm. Technically, from your shoulder to your elbow, that's what we would label as the arm. From your elbow to your wrist, that's your forearm. So we're talking about a bone in here. There are actually two bones in your forearm. One of them shares its name with the geometry term. Anybody? Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I 2 or 3 weeks ago, someone run out the anatomy category. It wasn't this one. It was much more recent. And man, it felt good to get all those questions right. You know, like when you see a Jeopardy category and you're like, "Ooh, that's my category." It just feels good when it actually is your category and you can get all those questions right. All right, we'll wait just a little bit longer. But again, we could talk about this. Just a little bit of preview of what we're going to be going over. Uh, what we see in all vertebrates, common to all vertebrates, and actually we see in sort of the transition species between fish and us, you know, having quadrupedal limbs or having four limbs, arms and legs, is that we see this one bone, two bones, many bones type of structure. That is common to basically any organism that is going to either be bipedal or quadrupedal, but basically any terrestrial vertebrate, which we happen to be, right? Terrestrial meaning we're on land, vertebrate meaning we actually, you know, have vertebrae. There are actually other characteristics that make us vertebrates that we share with other vertebrates, but that's not a big topic of this class. But what you do end up seeing is that you have one bone here, two bones there. The two bones that make up your forearm are going to be your ulna. Your ulna actually goes all the way down to make your elbow. So it's the big bone here that reaches all the way down to make the majority of your elbow. Sometimes you might bump your elbow and feel a tingling. That is a nerve that is sitting right on the ulna. So that is one bone. The other bone that you have here is, what is radius maybe? Laney. Wow, clutch moment. You actually got that in before I went over the answer. Laney, yes, the radius. Uh, oh, that's interesting, Rebecca. Thank you for bringing that up. Just learned that you can't chat if you go back in the lecture. You have to be watching it in current time. Hmm. I did not know that. Rebecca, thank you very much for letting me know that. I'm going to have to figure out what that means for us. But in terms of this, Laney, radius. That is right. That is correct. The radius is actually called a radius because it spins. It actually is a bone that is responsible for allowing you to have this motion. If you're interested, I do this with all the students in my lab. You can grab your elbow like this and keep it completely still, and just notice that you can basically rotate your wrist here, and there's a bone here that is rotating that allows you to do that. That is your radius. It's called a radius because it spins along its long axis. Well, radius means circle, so that's awesome. Great. While we're on the topic, Rebecca just mentioned that you can't chat if you go back in the lecture. And she says you think you have to be watching in current time. My question for you, Rebecca, is once you fast forwarded the lecture to live, were you then able to chat? I'm just curious. All right, we'll move on to the next term. John, my man. John knows some anatomy. Daily double, pew 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 pew. I watch too much Jeopardy. I'm sorry. Come on, give us the question, or I guess the answer. Whoa. Your tear glands are an example of this type of gland that secretes fluid through a duct and not directly into the bloodstream. Believe it or not, that is something we cover in this class. Rebecca says, yes, you're able to do that. Okay, so that's good to know. I'll thank you for letting me know. I will mention that to everyone. I didn't know that was the case, but that's great information. Thank you for letting me know that. Can we make this larger? Now that I am in current time, you can... Yeah, you're right. You are 100% right, Rebecca. Now that I can see your chats, or now that you're in current time, I can see your chats. Yeah. Unless you did like some weird time travel stuff. I'm also really into sci-fi, so maybe. I don't know. Anybody with the tear glands? Wow, I didn't realize how appropriate this Jeopardy YouTube video was going to be. I want them to like zoom in on this a little bit, but you know what they're doing. This camera framing, they want to include his face because the daily double is a big deal. It's a big bet. We don't know how much he bet because I turned the sound off, but like, ooh, do I know this answer? That's his face, right? That's the drama of TV. See, look, he's squirming. Look at that. Look at that squirming. Does he know? I don't think he knows. Do you know? Whoa. All right, so let's talk about this. This is actually one of the fine details that we're going to be talking about in the class when we actually talk about the epithelium. The epithelium, well, we won't get into too much detail about it now, but the epithelium is really, really important to the lining of your organs and also a really important component of your skin. And one of the things that derives from the epithelium are glands. Glands are just like sacs of fluid that, for the most part, they secrete hormones. Some of them do at least, and these glands can basically then squeeze the hormones out, sometimes through a duct, or in the case we're talking about sweat glands are filled with sweat, and when they squeeze, they basically send sweat out the duct, and that is how you start to perspire. Right? And so this question is you're talking about tear glands. I actually don't know anything about tear glands, but they are an example of a type of gland that secretes fluid through a duct. That I do know. That is an exam question, believe it or not. Knowing the difference between a gland that has a duct and one that doesn't. So most of your sweat glands are going to have ducts. Those basically secrete fluid to the outside. And what we're going to do a lot in this class is learn helpful words that can help us come to the answer when we don't even really know the answer. And some of the words that we're going to be learning, or some of the parts of the words we're going to be learning, are things like endo versus exo. Endo, if you don't know, means inside. Exo means outside. So the type of gland, the answer to this, what is an exocrine gland? Exo means outside, because these ducts are secreting fluid to the outside of the body. Again, it doesn't look like, I forget his name, Bill. Doesn't look like he knows this answer, so I can't tell if the audience is applauding. Oh, he looks confident. Oh, he didn't get it. Oh, John. John. All right, last anatomy question. In case you were wondering, the answer is an exocrine gland. Again, that is something that we're going to be learning this semester. It's kind of funny that it comes up in this Jeopardy video, but great. All right, running from the back of the thigh to the foot, this nerve can be a real pain in the butt and the leg. Ha! This is actually something that we cover in this class as well. So far, the only question in this Jeopardy column that we aren't going to cover in this class has to do with the heart. That's something that you get in Bio 269. We definitely do cover this. Nerves running from the thigh to the back of the foot. I'll give you a little bit of time to think about this one, but it does look like we're a couple minutes away from 11:30 when I said I would stop this. I just want to remind you, if you have any questions or comments regarding this class or the stream, anything in general, please feel free to add that to the chat. I'm basically doing this Jeopardy thing, one, because I think it's cool, and two, because, it's a whole lot better than just having a video of me doing nothing, right? John looks way more like a Bill to me. Hold on. What's his name? Did I just call him Bill? Was that messed up? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, Maggie, thank you for supporting me and referring to John as Bill or Bill as John or something. Thank you. I do appreciate that. All right, so running from the back of the thigh to the foot, this nerve can be a real pain in the butt and the leg. We have Rebecca saying sciatic, so I'm just going to put up the chat, and that is correct. The sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve, if you don't know, you might have heard of people having lower back pain and calling it sciatica, or having, sciatic nerve pain. Weirdly enough, the sciatic nerve is actually a bundle of multiple nerves, which makes it super big, and it runs down your lower back, connecting basically your lower back down your leg. It goes all the way down your hip bones, and it goes all the way down your leg. It's one of the thickest and longest nerves that you'll find in your body. But what ends up happening is, because it's so large, it's very easy for you to push against that nerve, especially if you have like a slipped disc, or you just like do something wrong and part of your body is now pressing against this nerve. Well, that nerve is the sciatic nerve. It's incredibly painful. I used to have sciatic nerve pain, but it's weird because the nerve basically runs down your leg, like it says in the Jeopardy question, but it does connect up into your spinal cord near your lower back. So your brain interprets this pain as lower back pain, even though that nerve could be potentially being pushed somewhere in your leg. And so when I had lower back pain, when I had sciatica, I was actually told that stretching my legs, stretching my hamstrings was going to be a large help. And, me being an anatomy professor, I immediately started thinking about, like, why is that the case? Why does stretching my leg help my back? And then one of the reasons is because that nerve is basically this giant nerve that travels down the entire leg, even though it's connected to your lower back. So again, this is another thing that we're going to be learning this semester. This was kind of a really cool preview that I did not expect that we were going to be doing today. Very, very glad we did it. Also, very, very glad that you were able to join me today. I hope that this was useful to you. I hope that you were able to get your answers questioned, your questions answered, if you had them. I am very much looking forward to doing this for real on Monday and for the rest of the semester. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask me during the chat on Monday, or basically you can send me an email down here. I do check my email every day. It's just, if you want direct answers, sometimes using a chat is a little bit more helpful, a little bit more direct. And once again, thank you so much. I do appreciate you being here. I do appreciate you giving me the chance to try this out and, making sure that everything is going to run smoothly on Monday. Both of you, me and Maggie and everyone else who was a part of the chat, thank you very, very much. This is basically how the class is going to be run. Instead of watching Anatomy Jeopardy, we'll be looking at some lectures together. You are very, very welcome. And yeah, we have hit 11:30 on my clock, so I'm gonna end the stream. But again, thank you very much. I am very much looking forward to doing this with you for the rest of the semester. Have a great weekend and have a great start to the semester.